go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Off the Bench podcast. This is episode 1. My name is Braden, and I'm along with my co-host Davis. We got a bunch of good sports topics to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Davis, first of all, we're going to be talking about the college football Week 6 recap. So I can run through. You want to run through the top 25 games real quick? I can do that, or you can do that, whichever one. We can go through scores if you want to do that real quick, or I can do that, whichever one. I already have it pulled up, if that makes it better.
Yeah, if you want to pull that up.
All right, I already got it pulled up, so I'll go ahead. All right, Friday. So last Friday, October 4th, Michigan State at Oregon. Oregon pulled out the win 31-10 against Michigan State. Dylan Gabriel was the passing leader with 257 passing yards. Jordan James was the rush leader in that with 166 yards on the ground. And then Tez Johnson was the receiving leader with 84 yards. The second top 25 game we had was also on that Friday night, which was Syracuse at UNLV. Syracuse ended up winning this game in overtime, 44-41 over UNLV. Kyle McCord was the passing leader in this one with 355 yards. LeQuint Allen with 71 yards as the rushing leader. And I'm definitely going to butcher this name, but Oronde Gadsden the second with 142 receiving yards on that one. As we move into Saturday, number 1 Alabama at Vanderbilt. Davis, I know you're an Alabama fan. This hurts you a little bit. Vandy pulls out the win, 40-35. Jalen Milroe.
I do have some numbers on that game. I have some numbers on that game, and I have some notes. I did want to say that was their first win over a top 5 program, let alone a number 1 program. They were 0-60 heading into Saturday versus top 5 opponents. And once again, you see Diego Pavia leading his team to an upset over an SEC school. Last year, don't forget, he was at New Mexico State when they pulled off the upset against Auburn. So this guy has some sort of gene in him where he plays in the clutch. He likes that big moment.
That's true. This is true. Jalen Milroe was the passing leader in that one with 310 yards. Cedric Alexander, the rushing leader, was 64, and Eli Stowers with 113 receiving yards as the leader in that. Iowa at number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State pulls out the win 35-7. Will Howard with 209 yards as the passing leader. Caleb Johnson, 86 yards as the rushing leader, and Jeremiah Smith with 89 yards as the receiving leader. He also had that awesome one-hand touchdown again, which was pretty cool to see. This next one pains me a little bit. Number 4, Tennessee at Arkansas. Rough loss for the Vols and with the Hogs pulling out a 19-14 victory over the Tennessee Volunteers. Taylor Green, passing leader with 266 passing yards. Dylan Sampson was the rushing leader with 138 yards. And Andrew Armstrong, the receiving leader, with 132 yards. Next up, we got Auburn at number 5, Georgia. Georgia pulled out the win 31-13 against Auburn. Carson Beck had 240 passing yards. Jacquez Hunter with 91 rushing yards. Keandre Lambert-Smith with 95 as the receiving leader. As we keep progressing through these, UCLA at number 7, Penn State. Penn State pulls up the win 27-11. Drew Aller has 237 passing yards as the leader. Katron Allen with 78 as the rushing leader, and Liam Clifford with 107 as the receiving leader. Moving on to a game that was a lot closer than any of us thought it was going to be was number 8, Miami at Cal. Miami pulled it out 39-38. Cam Warren had an incredible game with 437 passing yards.
Do we know how many of those were in the fourth quarter?
Oh, a lot. That fourth quarter was crazy. I don't know. I don't have the exact number on it if you want to get that. But Mark Fletcher Jr. was the rushing leader with 81 yards, and then Xavier Restrepo had 163 receiving yards. We can talk about that after the top 25.
I want to say
if you want to.
He had 249 yards in the fourth quarter alone.
That's insane. Buddy can ball. We'll just say that. Next, we go on to number 9, Missouri at Texas A&M. Texas A&M blows out Missouri in a 41-10 victory over the Tigers. Connor Weigman with 276 passing yards. Le'Veon Moss with 138 rushing, and Luther Burden III with 82 receiving yards. Number 10, Michigan at Washington. Washington gets the revenge over the Wolverines, winning 27-17. Will Rogers has 271 passing yards. Donovan Edwards is the rushing leader with 95 yards. And Denzel Boston, the receiving leader, with 80.
This is probably the
Number
first time
11,
in a while. This is probably the first time in a while you've seen a national championship rematch that's been this under the water. Both these teams really went downhill after their head coaches left.
it's true. I would agree. We'll go more into depth. Again, we'll go more into depth on a few of these matchups as soon as we're done with the top 25 scores. So, USC at Minnesota. Minnesota pulls out the victory 24-17. Miller Moss has 200 yards. Darius Taylor has 144 rushing yards. And Darius Taylor is also a receiving leader with 56 receiving yards. Number 12, Ole Miss at South Carolina. Excuse me. Ole Miss pulls out the victory 27-3. Jackson Dart has 285 passing yards. Henry Parrish Jr. has 81 rushing yards, and Antoine Wells Jr. has 97 receiving yards. I believe we have 4 more games left on this, so we'll get through this real quick. Number 15, Clemson at Florida State. Clemson gets the victory 29-13 over the Seminoles. Cade Klubnik throws for 235 yards. Phil Maffa rushes for 154, and Antonio Williams with 84 receiving yards. Next, we go to Baylor at number 16, Iowa State. Iowa State wins 43-21. Not even a close game there. Rocco Becht, I don't know how you say the name, Becht. We'll just say Becht for now. With 277 passing yards, Jalen Jackson with 107 rushing yards, and Jaden Higgins with 116 receiving. Moving on to the last two, we got Utah State at number 21, Boise State. Boise State blows out Utah State, winning 62-30. Spencer Petrus throws for 372 passing yards. Ashton Jeanty, no surprise there, is the rushing leader with 186 rushing yards. And Jalen Royals has a great game with 211 receiving yards. So get a great game there for Boise State. And the last top 25 matchup we had was actually, sorry, we have 2 more. I forgot about. I almost left Indiana out. We have SMU at Louisville. SMU actually upsets Louisville, winning 34-27. Tyler Show throws for 329 yards. Isaac Brown rushes for 117, and then Ja'Cory Brooks receives 121 yards. Last one, number 23, Indiana at Northwestern. Indiana pulls out the win 41-24 against the Northwestern. Curtis Roark throws for 380 yards. Justice Ellison rushes for 68, and Elijah Sarrett receives for 135 yards. And that is your top 25 rundown. Davis, any thoughts on those?
I did want to say that Louisville SMU game, while SMU was unranked, you don't want to say how much of an upset this was, because this is a team who not only beat Louisville by a touchdown, blew Florida State out of the water by 36. 36. Beat TCU by 24. Their only loss, their only blemish on the season is a 3-point loss to number 14 ranked BYU. So this is a team that has shown they can play well. And this, I don't know if this is much of an upset.
I would have to agree with you on that one. Even if the numbers show it's an upset, I think it feels like one of those years. And Davis, you'll probably agree with me on this, that anyone can go out and beat anyone. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. It just feels like it's one of those years that, I mean, we saw it this weekend. I mean, with the Vandy Alabama game, with Tennessee Arkansas, you just really can't count anyone out.
Give me 1 second. My thing's being a little finicky
you're all
here.
Good. You're all good. Yeah, so personally, what I wanted to point out specifically about the Alabama and Tennessee games, obviously that both looks really bad. That looks really bad. Obviously, you being an Alabama fan, me being a Tennessee fan, stings a little bit. But kind of when we talked about this over the weekend, when it happened, we kind of agreed. You know, these are kind of almost healthy losses for the team, right?
Well, it's always been said it's not great if you win and play bad like both teams did. That being said, though, I want to get into this with you. Who do you think, which loss is worse for the team going for the future? which loss do you think would end up being worse, Tennessee's or Alabama's?
I think Tennessee's is going to be worse just because of the schedule they have ahead of them. They still have to play Georgia, which, going into Georgia, you never know what's going to happen. With Alabama, do y'all have LSU left, and
We
that's
have
pretty much it, correct?
At LSU left, at Oklahoma left. So,
Gotcha.
and I've said it, I think the magic number to get in is 2 losses. If you
I
have
agree.
3, I don't know you're getting in. So,
Right.
Tennessee, they put themselves in a spot where they're going to have to go out. They cannot lose to Georgia and Alabama. If
Correct.
they lose both of those, they are out of the playoffs. Now, Alabama's in a much better spot. They can still lose to Tennessee. And then if they find a way to win out, I think you'll see them sneaking into a 10, 11, or 12 seed.
100%. I could see that. Yeah, with Tennessee, it's going to have to be a lot more perfect. We can really only drop, one more game either. You would hope that game would be either to y'all or to Georgia, because those losses those are quality losses that would still allow us to be in the playoffs. You wouldn't want to drop one to a Kentucky or a Florida, right? You probably could and still get in the playoffs, but your chances are a lot
You
higher
have
with
to
one of
win
those
out
quality
against your
losses.
powerhouses.
Right. So, yeah.
Another
And
talking
as
point I
far as
wanted to get into is you have 2 true freshman receivers this year, which I don't think we see that often, let alone to this capacity. Who do we think is the better true freshman receiver this year, Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams? I think
if
as
we're
of
going
now,
off his veteran,
I think Ryan Williams has played better opponents and done more. And I think Jeremiah Smith has had the more impressive clips, the more impressive highlights. And they've had very
I
identical numbers up to this point.
I would say Ryan Williams has been the most impressive to watch. Jeremiah Smith is the most NFL ready right now.
That
Ryan
being said, though,
Williams needs
Ryan
to put
Williams is
on
still
weight.
17.
That's true. He's out
Well,
there.
that's what they said about Devontae Smith coming off his
Right.
Heisman year. And he went out there and he was a top 10 pick. I mean, I would say a top 20, 25 receiver in the NFL right now.
Right. Maybe. I don't know about that one. But
We can get into that
we can get
another
into
day.
that in the NFL. Yeah, so that might be for a later episode or maybe even later in the segment. But all right. Are you ready to move on to predictions, or is there anything else you'd like to cover? Oh, real quick, I would like to cover, which I guess we'll talk about him specifically more in our Heisman predictions for this year. Ashton Jeanty is playing out of his mind, and we'll go more into depth on that later in the episode. So right now we're going to move on to college football predictions. So next week, week 7 already, it is flying by. Specifically for any top 10 games, we'll do predictions for top 10. So we got South Carolina at number 7 Alabama. I think we're both rolling with the Tide on that one.
I'm rolling with the Tide on that one. I think coming off a loss, you'll see a much more refined team. I think you'll see less penalties. And all in all, I think you'll see a better defensive performance and a more mature team.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. I mean, I really don't see anything on that South Carolina team that makes me go, oh crap, we can't handle that. Now
Sorry, cut
they
out there
got
for a
that.
second. I do want to say
yeah.
before we forget, this week FIU has already clinched their win in a thrilling 31-24 overtime win over Liberty.
That's true. They did do that. It was tonight, wasn't it, or no?
It was Monday night.
Yes, it was tonight.
We're filming this on a Tuesday.
Yes.
Was that? That was
No,
tonight.
that was tonight. That was tonight.
It was tonight.
Yeah. That was tonight. Liberty. Yeah. Actually, Liberty won that game, 31-24.
Was it Liberty?
FIU. Yeah, is that what you meant to say?
That's what I meant to say. I just can't read.
Yeah, I thought that's what you meant to say.
Alrighty.
For a second there, I was like, what?
All
Yeah.
right. And then Friday, the 11th, we have Utah at Arizona State. Personally, I
Right.
haven't seen much from Arizona State. What I have seen from them, I could definitely see them pulling off this upset. They've had a good offense, and they played well against the Mississippi State team, who they're not the best in the SEC, but they are an SEC team who they're they're an SEC team who tends to play decent. They're not, never at the top of the pack, but they're a decent SEC team, and
Right.
they beat them, held their own against them. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Utah State without Cam Rising, if you see an upset here.
I could see it. Uh, yeah, I think you know, the Cam Rising situation is very interesting. So I mean, the fact that he may get what is it, an eighth year now, eighth, ninth year. Well, I think it's eighth, right? Of eligibility.
It does look like though he has the go ahead as of yesterday. Wait, no, take that back. They are waiting on the go ahead from the medical staff.
Okay, so he's day to day right now.
Hmm.
Okay, it's unfortunate for Utah, but that they
It
have
does say
some.
though, last week he was cleared to play as far as he can go out there and do everything.
That's good.
Now, I feel like you'll see a call probably Thursday or Friday at game time
Yeah,
saying, "Hey, we think he can take a hit and be fine and it won't kill him." But he should be playing, which is huge for this Utah offense who has been stagnant without him there.
right. I'd agree. Moving on to another 12 o'clock game on Saturday, we got number 10 Clemson going to Wake Forest. What are your thoughts on this one, Davis?
I don't know. The Clemson's had their moments, but let's be realistic. Clemson has the athletes. I think they're just going to be the better team and outright beat Wake Forest.
That's enough said for me. I agree with you. I'll say their only blemish is that Georgia loss, if I'm not mistaken. That's not
It
really
is.
necessarily a blemish if you're talking, SEC powerhouses. But yeah, number 10 Clemson going into Wake Forest. I don't expect it to be much of anything, but moving on,
Here's an
we got
unranked matchup I want to go ahead and talk about. Iowa
okay.
and Washington at Iowa. This is a
I
12
was
o'clock
going to bring
game on
that up.
Fox. So this is two teams. One just came off a loss to Ohio State, but they have one of the
Right,
best defenses in the country. Talking about Iowa here. And then you have
right,
a Washington team just coming off a huge win against their opponent. They played in the national championship last year, Michigan. They came out with a win, looked pretty good. Who do you see coming out of this game?
If Iowa can score the football, which is big ask for them sometimes, I
Mhm.
think Iowa's got the good enough defense to be able to pull this one out. Washington doesn't have all the athletes they had last year. Specifically Michael Penix, Roma Dunze.
Romo Dunze.
Yeah, it just depends. If this Washington offense can get rolling against their defense, I don't think Iowa, you know, can keep up scoring wise. But if Iowa's defense continues to shut Washington down, and you know, Iowa's offense can score, so I can kind of see Washington pulling this one out just because there's less factors that have to happen for
I think
Washington
this
to.
this Iowa defense is one of the most disciplined defenses in the
No,
country.
absolutely.
I don't think you see Washington score more than 14 points this game. And I think Iowa can do enough
But how
offensively.
many
They
does
don't have to
Iowa
win the
score?
game. Iowa doesn't have to win. Their offense doesn't have to win the game. They just can't lose them the
Right.
game.
That's fair.
This
Yeah.
defense will put them in spots to kick field goals, to get points on the board. All they have to do
Yeah.
is not lose the game for their defense.
Yeah. Iowa is currently pick the winner at -2.5. Um, I could see this going either way. It really just depends on a lot of factors, but no, it could go either way. Moving back to the top 25 though, number one Oh, wow. Not number 1. English. Number 21, Missouri, going in at Massachusetts. I think we both know
I
our
just don't see a
predictions
way
here.
UMass wins this game. Granted,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's, especially with the transfer portal, I don't think there's a team that can't beat another team.
Right,
And I think we saw that last week with all the upsets. But I just don't see a way, especially Missouri coming off a tough loss like that. You got to
right.
think they're going to come out energetic and ready to make a point. I just don't see a way they lose that game.
I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I expect Luther Burden to have an absolute day. Even with the transfer portal, Missouri still has, way better athletes than UMass, and I just expect him to have a pretty good day. Moving on though, we got the Red River rivalry, Texas at Oklahoma, at 3:30, and Texas
Now,
is going to this game ranked.
I
Texas is
don't
going
want
to
to
this
say it,
game
but
ranked as the number one.
I could see two number one losses in back to back weeks this week. I've
I could
seen
I could see
Oklahoma's
it too.
backup quarterback, and this is at Oklahoma. We've seen crazier things happen. Last year, this Texas team who made the playoffs, correct me if I'm wrong, last year, Oklahoma came out and won this game, right?
That's true. That is correct. Dylan Gabriel led them
Mhm.
in this one. Yep.
They came out and won this game, and this is a game they weren't supposed to win, and I feel like this is another
Hmm.
one they're not supposed to win. This one's at Oklahoma. They're the home team here, and I think their quarterback just looked electric. They had a fun offense with him out there. If they can put together a complete game on offense, I think you could see a Texas team who doesn't necessarily have their identity at quarterback struggle a little bit here and there, and I think you could see an Oklahoma team pull out this win.
Well, that was going to be the question I asked you next. Was who do you think we see on Saturday? Do you think we see Quinn Ewers return, or do we see Arch Manning continue to lead the Longhorns?
I think you'll see Ewers, and then don't. I think what this has done for Texas. I think well, you've heard a lot of bad things. I think this is only will help the program. You have you're now QB1 who was really good last year. Now has a fire lit under him. He's had a bar set to reach. He's not only striving to be where he was last year, he's striving to set to be that bar and set the bar for Arch Manning. So I think
Mm,
this is a QB system that will pull each other up. This isn't one where it's going to be a battle, just
right.
straight battle. This is going to be one where they try and climb each other up. So this will be a fun quarterback room. And I think there'll be no hard feelings in this quarterback room, but I do think Quinn Ewers will come out and start this week.
Do you think we see Arch on the field at any point during the game?
Maybe
Uh,
holding PATs when Texas scores, but I think that might be about it.
that's fair enough. Yeah, I could see. Again, I agree with you on the. I could see Oklahoma coming out and winning this game. They're not supposed to. Um, Man, that quarterback has that young quarterback has just taken this Oklahoma team, and he's an athlete. He can get out and scramble and run. We'll see what he can do against that Texas defense. I'm excited for this one though. It'll be this will be a good one. Moving on though, we got number 4 Penn State at USC. This is a game that
Can we go back to that Red River rivalry for 1 second?
oh yeah we can.
I want to talk about two things. The spread here is Texas 14.5.
That is
So
way too
Texas
high.
is a heavy favorite in this rivalry game. And if there's any specifically big time rivalries, you will notice it does not matter how good a team is that year and how bad a team is that year. Good rivalries such as this one, you will see, regardless of who is who, two teams going all out just to beat the other. And I think no matter what your team looks like, you will have two very even teams playing on this field. So I don't
Yeah, I'd
truthfully,
agree
I
with you.
think that spread's a little high. I would go the under there towards Oklahoma.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, are you ready to move on to Penn State at USC?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, number 4 Penn State taking on the Trojans at the Coliseum. Um, you got a Penn State team that, you know, Drew Aller, he's got the arm talent.
This is an experienced Penn
Uh,
State team. I think this is a team that, as Nick Saban would say, rat poison. I don't think this is a team that would take the poison. This is a very mature team. I think
Right.
this is a team you could expect to win the games they're supposed to and hang in the games either they're not supposed to be or those games that are really good, like those Ohio States, those Oregons.
Absolutely. No, I'd 100% agree with you on that one. Like I said earlier, Drew Aller has a great is a great talent overall at the quarterback position. He is one of the strong, if not the strongest quarterback in college football. Um, I mean, he can launch the ball downfield. He is pretty decently accurate. We'll 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 see how he does against this USC defense on obviously they've upgraded a little bit, especially from last year. Their defense was
Yeah,
just absolutely god awful. Um, but this should be an interesting one. So another 3:30 game. We got Stanford at number 11 Notre Dame.
I think you see
What we
Notre
think?
Dame win this. They've lost their game this year. I feel like they're gonna have a pretty cupcake schedule.
Yeah.
I don't see them losing this game. I think they come out as the dominant team. I think they win by 20 plus points.
Yeah, the spread is currently set at Notre Dame minus 23.5. So you were pretty right on the money with that one. Yeah, I agree. I don't see Stanford coming out and doing anything that Notre Dame can't handle. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that game. Uh, Moving on, new top 25 ranking this week. Number 22 Pitt. Uh, Cal Berkeley is coming to play them at their place. Um, the line is currently set at Pitt minus 3. So
I can see that. The thing about coming off a loss like that, you see this a lot more in baseball because you play a lot more back-to-back games, but this
right,
attrition can set in football. When you put that much into a game and it's that much of a heartbreaker, you could see a California team come out deflated. Now, how they respond to that loss will dictate what I think the rest of their season. But I don't think that they definitely shouldn't. This is a team that has beat Auburn. They've already won a game they're not supposed to. They are where they're not supposed to be. This is a team that
right,
hung with the top 10 Miami team for the entire game up until that fourth quarter. I
right.
think I think California can win this game. And I think they respond well. I think they do win this game. I think they end up coming off. They respond well off that loss. The only thing is you could see them respond negatively and change the direction of their season off that.
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think this will actually end up being a pretty good game. Yeah, as far as that how they respond on Saturday, if they come out flat, can't move the ball, can't stop the ball, it's not gonna go well for them. If they can do the right things right, keep mistakes to a minimal, keep turnovers to a minimal, um, they should be able to. I mean, you saw what they did against Miami.
Mhm.
Pitt shouldn't be much trouble compared to the Hurricanes. So, um, yeah, I guess we'll see on that one. Another new entrance to the top 25. Purdue goes to number 23 Illinois. The line is currently set at Illinois minus 19.5.
Yeah, I was about to say Purdue hasn't looked great this year. I've seen them play a few
Mm-mm.
times. I haven't seen Illinois play too much, but they're normally a very good team in the Big Ten. They're normally on I won't say the upper echelon. They're probably a step below that. They're those
Yeah.
teams they're like at your Michigan State levels. They're good teams, but they're not the great teams in the Big Ten. I think this is a game they go out. I could easily see them covering this large spread without much trouble, truthfully.
I could
But if
agree.
there is a team known for upsets, it is definitely Purdue.
It
So,
is. You would know, wouldn't you?
mhm.
Yep. Uh, Moving on to next one would be Arizona at number 14 BYU. The line is actually set at BYU minus 4.5 here. So
I was gonna say this is an Arizona team who has played some tough opponents to start the year.
mm,
Um, Harrison McMillan, if I'm not mistaken, is the receiver's name. He has played great this year.
Yes.
If Arizona just plays a complete game, I do see this being a neck and neck game. But I do see BYU winning this. BYU has looked good.
BYU's looked very good. They came out and beat a Kansas State team they weren't supposed to beat, and beat them by a few scores actually, which moved them up as far as they did in the AP poll. I think this is a BYU team that has a different mindset than past years. As far as they believe they can do it, they believe they can go out there and win games. Which all teams say that, but you can clearly see it on the field in the way they play,
The
the way
ones
they
who
played
believe
against
it and the
Kansas
ones who
State.
don't.
Right, absolutely, right.
And I think you see where this
you
gets
see that.
teams, this mindset. We saw a TCU team who's probably less talented than teams who didn't get in or teams who were in there. I mean, they beat a Michigan team who I think was way more talented than them. But that mindset they had that they were the best team in the country, got them to that national championship game, I believe.
Absolutely, absolutely. Moving on now, we got Mississippi State going to number 5 Georgia. The line is set at Georgia minus 34.
Yeah, like we talked about this Mississippi State earlier. They're not the best team in the SEC. They're always they're an okay team in the SEC. Grant, I think Georgia, especially after all the upsets last week, they're warning their guys of this. You cannot sleep over a game. There are no easy games in the SEC.
Right.
I think they come out here. I think Georgia looks dominant. And I think Kirby Smart and his staff puts in the front of their players' minds that there is no easy game in this conference. You have to come out here and play like you would any other game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, there's no easy games in the SEC, especially environment. Obviously, Georgia gets this one at home, so it'll be in their favor as far as the environment goes. They got the athletes, they got the defense, they got the coach. I mean, there's, I feel like that's enough said about Georgia. They just need to go out and handle business and get ready for the week after that. So, moving on, we got Florida at number 8 Tennessee. It's a night game at Neyland.
I think Tennessee's the same
way.
They're coming off a loss.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee comes out ready to fire. I think they blow them out of the water. I think they blow them out the swamp.
Line is set at minus 15.5 for Tennessee, and honestly,
I
don't think that's high enough.
I think this is an offense that you're going to see come out. They're going to try and get Nico started early. He's definitely struggled the last couple games. And I think you'll see him come out. They'll try and get him started and just let him catch a spark in Neyland, and I think he'll catch a fire.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think what Josh Heupel has realized is he can't be conservative in his play calling. Tennessee plays their best offense when we are being very aggressive, when we're taking shots, when we're, being that fast-paced, let's go, hurry up offense, taking shots, run the ball hard, that's Tennessee offense at its best, and I think we're going to see a little more of that in this Josh Heupel offense as we move forward. Definitely in these next 2 weeks with Florida coming to Neyland and then the Vols hosting your Crimson Tide next week. So we'll see how this game goes. I also am taking Tennessee on this one. I mean, Nico's composure in these SEC games has been something. Not as much in the Arkansas game as we saw in the Oklahoma game. But in the Oklahoma game specifically, his composure was very impressive to me. His ability to stand in the pocket and deliver throws when he needed to, and his ability to get out of the pocket and deliver throws when he needed to, has also been very impressive. And Tennessee's got the athletes to make this one a blowout. So I'd agree with you on that one. Moving on, we got a 7:30 game. This is the game of the week here.
Let's talk about that one last. You gonna talk about that one last?
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree.
So going on that, another ranked game, which I believe if this wasn't the same week as the Red River rivalry in Ohio State, Oregon, I think this is the game you see game of the week. This is a number 9 Ole Miss and a 13 LSU.
Yeah.
Both teams with a loss on the year, and both teams feel like they were good enough to beat whoever they played, who their loss was to. So
Sure.
I think you'll see both these teams come out um, firing. This one's at LSU. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ole Miss won last year.
Correct.
That was an absolute shootout. That was a thriller. That was a really fun game to watch last year. Um, I do. I don't know. I think Ole Miss with Jackson Dart, they have the weapons. They have the better line. I feel like this is a team. Ole Miss comes out ready to prove everybody they deserve to be in this number 9 spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. Obviously, sorry about that. This LSU team lost some weapons this past year. They have, after that USC loss, first game this year, they have shown they've been able to bounce back. And uh, like you said, I think this is going to be another shootout. I mean, we've seen the Ole Miss offense, we've seen the LSU offense.
I think with this game is won in the trenches. While
I agree.
LSU's Harold Perkins and some other really great talent on that front seven, I think Ole Miss's size is what wins them this game. Their size in the trenches win them this game.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. Obviously, this Ole Miss team has been, very offensively heavy as far as that's where the focus has been on this
Offensively
team as
forward,
far as
yeah.
the media goes. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm excited for this one, and I agree with you on the whole thing of if this wasn't, you know, the same week as Red River rivalry as Oregon at Ohio State at Oregon, they would be the game of the week. Um,
Vanderbilt,
Next,
Kentucky,
moving
you wanna
on.
talk about that one? These are
Yeah,
2
we can talk
teams
about that one.
unranked in the SEC that Vanderbilt just coming off a win versus Alabama, Kentucky, who beat number 9 Ole Miss. This is where you see whose win was valid and whose was a fluke. This is at
I agree.
Kentucky. This Kentucky team played close with Georgia. They beat this Ole Miss team with a loss to South Carolina. So this is a very weird team. You don't really know. You're still trying to get a feel for it. This
Right.
Vanderbilt team is the same way. Week 1, they beat Virginia Tech, a team they weren't supposed to beat. Looked great. Then they went and lost 2 they shouldn't have, including a loss to Georgia State, and they go out and beat Alabama. This is a
Right.
team that I think they have shown both these teams have shown flashes of greatness that they could be these top 25 teams.
Right.
We'll just see which one we see, or if we see any consistency following last week's performance and from their upsets.
Yeah. Yeah, Brock Vandegrift versus Diego Pavia. We're gonna. This should be a better one than I think
I think it'll be
people
a
think
fun game
headed
to
into it.
watch.
I agree.
I think Vanderbilt's
Uh,
got this. If they keep it up, they'll have the
I
stigmatism
agree.
around them. They were just a fun team, and this is a team that you don't that they don't care. They have nothing to lose. They've been bad for so long. Might as
Absolutely
well
not.
have fun while you're at it. So this will be a fun team
Absolutely
to
not.
watch going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. Moving on though, we got number 11 Iowa State going at West Virginia. What are your thoughts on this one, Davis?
At West Virginia is always a tough place to play, but Iowa
Hmm.
State just has looked too talented this year for me not to pick them. So it's tough to go at West Virginia, especially at night. But I mean, this Iowa State team has just looked too good for me not to pick them. There's a reason they're ranked number 11 in the country,
Right.
and I think they go out there and they prove that.
I agree. The line is currently set at Iowa State -3. I think Iowa State pulls this out at least by a touchdown or two. I'd say maybe a touchdown and a field goal. They pull this one out just because they are going into West Virginia. That is a hard place to play. But like you said, there's a reason they're ranked number 11. They're not a bad. They're a very decent team, even a pretty good team. So we'll see moving forward how they do. Now moving on to an interesting game that will test both of these teams. Number 18, Kansas State at Colorado, unranked Colorado.
I
This
think this is another
should
one. This
be a
is a
good
very good
game.
unranked team. Yeah, like a very good unranked team, a Kansas State a team who has a lot to prove. Came in the season with high expectations, hasn't necessarily lived up to that with a loss to BYU and
Right.
some other close games that shouldn't be close in. And this Colorado team, this is a team looking to go out. You know about Colorado with Dion, with
Right.
Travis Hunter, with Shadur. This is a team
Right.
looking to go out, prove themselves. So, and this is at Colorado. I think this is a great game. I think you do see Kansas State pull this win out. This will be a fun game, 10 o'clock game. You'll see this will be a fun one with a lot of action.
Yeah, I agree. Line is currently set at, I think it was Kansas State. Yep, Kansas State -4. I think that's right around the mark of where this game is going to be. I think it'll be a decently close game, at least for most of the game. Just depends on. There's a few factors that go into it. Obviously, Colorado's got some dudes. You've heard about them. We don't have to talk about that. You know who they are. Yeah. Moving on, second to last game, we got number 17 Boise State at Hawaii with an 11 o'clock classic. Boise State currently is picked to win. Line is set at -20.5.
Like, I don't think this will be much of a game. I think, truthfully, especially for all the sports bettors out there, I think this is a game within the game. How many yards do you think Jonty's going to get?
I think he goes for 200 plus.
I think that's the only real game you're playing, a guessing game with how many yards you think he's going to get.
I agree.
I think this is a game you see him get 180 to 250. And we say that like it's casual. He's made this look like it is nothing. This is what Travis Hunter did when he first got into college. He made it look so effortless, so easy. And that's what he's doing, running the football over and over and over again. This is a kid who, truthfully, has come out of nowhere. I didn't see this coming this year. And he has come out and just looked fabulous.
Yeah, he has 1,031 rushing yards in 5 games, Davis. 5 games.
I'm no mathematician, but that's about 200-something yards a game.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your Heisman. This is your Heisman front runner. This is the guy right now.
The only knock, and this is the biggest knock you can have as a Heisman, you do not play enough quality opponents to get the numbers compared to everybody else. Well, yes, he's putting up these fabulous yards against all these teams in the MAC, in the Mountain West. Can he put these numbers up week by week versus a Georgia, versus an Ohio State? He played well against Oregon, but was that a one-off? We don't know.
Well, we might get to figure out, considering they come in here and playoff time, and after this Hawaii game, they go at UNLV, and then the only other game that I see being any trouble for them would maybe be versus Oregon State. Other than that, it's pretty much cakewalk for them to the playoffs. They're 4-1 right now. Assuming they get this Hawaii win, they'll be 5-1 heading into the second half of the season. I mean, this is a very good Boise State team.
I feel like he will have the numbers to win the Heisman this year. I don't think he'll have an instance this year where he has his Heisman moment. And truthfully, I think your Heisman front runners right now, what they will be at the end of the year, will be Milroe, Cam Ward. And I think you'll see either Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams clip the top 5. I think those young talents, they've looked so fun, so electric. I think those will be popular picks come Heisman time. I think you'll see one of those 2 receivers clip the top 5.
You don't think we'll see Travis Hunter in that conversation, possibly?
I think he will be in the conversation as 2nd or 3rd, maybe 4th. I don't think he is a runner. Don't get me wrong, what he has done is incredibly impressive, and I think he is one of the best players in the country. He will make millions of dollars doing what he loves to do. The only thing is, I think you see these other guys, they're doing what they need to do in winning games. Colorado has struggled to win games when they needed to. He has made game-winning plays. He's made fabulous plays, put his team in positions to win, but his team has just not found ways to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll talk about that more in our our next segment coming up. But moving on to the last top 25 game, we got number 2 Ohio State at number 3 Oregon as the game of the week. This line is currently set at Ohio State -3.
And I have the over under
What do you
here
got?
is 53 points. Let's see. I don't think this is an Oregon. Now, I do want to say this. This Oregon team, I gave them a lot of flack to start this year because they started off with an unknown Boise State team who they played way too close. I think 3-point game.
Yes, it was. It was 37
And
to
now
34, if I'm
looking
not
at that,
mistaken.
that's a quality loss. Looking at that, that's a quality close game.
Right.
That's a Boise State team that's ranked 17th in the country. I do think that close game with Idaho, there is no excuse for that. I think they should have won that game and won it handily.
Mhm.
They have shown moments of inconsistency, while on the other hand, Ohio State has not been challenged this year.
Mhm.
But I do think I think Ohio State is a top 3 team at the bare minimum. I think there's about 3 teams you could put at number 1, and they would all make sense. And I think Ohio State's one of those. I think they're one of the upper echelon teams in the country right now, and I think they truthfully blow Oregon out of the water.
Wow. That is a bold prediction. Yeah, Ohio State hasn't really faced any challenges. Their closest game was last week against Iowa, where they still won by 28. So, you go into this Oregon game thinking, I think the biggest factor for Oregon is going to be, can their offense produce? If they can, will this game be close? Will Oregon's defense be able to stop this Ohio State offense? Will this Ohio State defense be able to stop the Oregon offense? I mean, it's just
I don't even think it's that. I think, can Ohio State stay out of their own way? If they stay out of their own way, there should be no reason they don't win by 20 plus points. I think we'll have a new number 1 team after this week, and I think it will be Ohio State. Truthfully.
Yeah, considering Texas loses, I see Ohio State win this game. I don't know if
Even
I'm.
with a Texas win, once Ohio State just mops the floor with this number 3 Oregon team, I think you see Oregon drop down below number 10. I think you see Ohio State jump to number 1.
That's a prediction. But yeah, well, yeah. Are you ready to move on to the next segment?
I think we're all good.
All right. Moving on now, we have our Heisman favorites so far. So, Davis, if you want to do top 3, top 5, what we're thinking here?
My top 5. I'll go ahead and start top 5. Cam Ward, Jonty, Milroe, Travis Hunter, and I think you'll see a Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith getting the number 5.
Okay. So
And
my
I think
top
those top
3.
3, I think my top 3, Milroe, Jonty, and Ward, I think all 3 of those have a equal shot to win the Heisman. And you'll see each of these have plenty more tough games ahead of them. And I think you'll see somebody break ahead towards the end of the season. You'll see somebody have their Heisman moment and have that stigmatism around them that says, I am that dude. We just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I have the same top 3 as you. My number 1 being Cam Ward, my number 2 being Jonty, and then my 3 being Milroe. Moving on, I also have Travis Hunter at the 4. The 5 is a throw up spot there. You've seen Ryan Williams play very good. You've seen Jeremiah Smith play very good. You got some other quarterbacks you could throw around in that conversation. For right now, I think I'm going to put Jeremiah Smith just for what he's been able to do. The crazy catches, the yardage games, the touchdowns he's had. I mean, both him and Ryan Williams have gone out and shown they can dominate in college ball, even as true freshmen, and they have really good careers ahead of them. Both of them do, both in college and the NFL. So I'm very curious to see how that
The more I
how that
sit
is
on
going
this
forward.
topic, the more I sit on this topic, the more I think, how can you not put Travis Hunter in at least the top 3 because this
Right.
is a weird. Because so I think
So who you
Milrow
talking out
is
of
a little
there?
toss-up coming. I think Milrow's a toss-up. He just came off a loss to Vandy, but he willed his team to a win against Georgia. Um,
Right.
he's played outstanding this year. He
Right.
deserves to be in the conversation. Cam Ward, he has made amazing comebacks. He's had his moments. He's been part of the drama. He's been in the games. He's played great. He should be in. And then Jonty, without a doubt, should be in, averaging over 200
Right.
yards a game and showing why he deserves to be there. Now, Travis
Right.
Hunter, how do you value his two-way position playing and excelling at both positions compared to the great numbers these guys are putting up? I think the two-way ability of Travis Hunter is spectacular, and I think I would personally put that over Milrow and Ward's statistics. I just don't know
Mm-hmm.
what the committee would think because he has been upper echelon DB in the country this year, and he's been one of the best receivers this year. He's
Right.
had two. I saw it put this way: he's had two different All American seasons in the same season this year.
Right.
One is a DB, one
100%.
is a receiver. I mean, if he can keep this rate up, I find it tough for him not to be a top one.
Yeah.
I just find it tough for him to play this many snaps, him to stay healthy.
I agree. Yeah. Simple enough. See, our Heisman conversations are obviously our Heisman favorites are very similar. Um, I mean, I'm good. I'm ready to move on. If you're ready to move on to the next one. All right. So changing up here, sticking with the football, but we are now moving on to the NFL. We're going on Week 5 recap. Um, you want to get this one, or
I'll grab this
you
one.
want me to get? All right.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Let's just start with. I'm gonna go ahead and do Thursday night if you want me to review that Thursday night.
We're recapping, correct?
Yes, Week 5.
So, starting off with the Thursday night game, you had the Falcons and Buccaneers head into an overtime thriller where Younghoe
Kirko
Koo kicked a
show.
field goal at the Younghoe Koo kicked a field goal at the end of regulation to send this game into OT. And now this is a game. This next game was a game that you have to think had some implications of the firing of Robert Saleh earlier today. The Jets and Vikings. This Vikings team with Sam Darnold won with a score of 23-17. This Jets offense did not look good at all. You have to think this had major implications to the firing of Robert Saleh.
Mhm.
Um, then you have the Bears Panthers, two number one pick. Well, should have been two number one picks going at it. Bryce Young's benched in favor of Andy Dalton at the moment. The Bears go out, win 36-10, just flat out look dominant. And you got to think,
Yeah,
what is the future for this Panthers team?
Caleb Williams threw for over 300 yards this game. I think the exact number was 304, if I'm not mistaken. Just looked dominant as an NFL quarterback. I think this is one of those games, even against a Carolina team that's bad on defense. They're not great on defense. This this helps with the bust conversation of will he be a boom or a bust, and I think this is helping him more towards that boom factor. Yeah.
Now you got to think, what does the future look like for this Panthers team? Was this on Bryce Young, or was this like Andy Dalton showed? This is an offense that is really hard to produce with, and this is a
Mhm.
defense that cannot support your offense. It's
Right.
really tough to figure out if this is just a bad situation or if this is on this quarterback play for this offense because they
Right.
went out, they got Deontay Johnson. Their O line's played well enough. They have Xavier Legette, the rookie. They have
Right.
these weapons. Just for whatever reason, it is not clicking, whether it is scheming or game plan or these players aren't producing what they need to. I think you'll see more of that figured out as the year goes on. But you got to think you'll see a new head coaching job up there in Carolina after this year's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one.
And then
Yep.
going from Caleb Williams to another rookie here, you had Jaden Daniels look amazing, putting up 34 against this incredible Browns defense, who has been at least in the top 5 the past 3 years, I want to say. They won with a score of 34-13, and truthfully, this game wasn't close. It came out, and the Commanders, it's kind of crazy to say, looked dominant against this Browns team.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, another thing to add on to that, Jaden Daniels was both the passing and rushing leader for this game with 238 passing yards and 82, I believe, rushing yards.
I
He,
think this
you know,
Commanders
he did
coordinators
not have a
and
drop off
coach,
from last year.
I think this Commanders coach and this team, they built it around him. He came
I
in
agree.
and this team was built for him, and he is showing it how he and this team were pretty. It feels like they were made for each other, truthfully.
Right.
This is a match that you don't see very often when a quarterback comes into a spot like this,
Mm-hmm.
a good quarterback at that, and they are showing how good a good scheme and good players around him can make a quarterback.
Right.
Um, Next, you have the Dolphins and Patriots. Truthfully, this is a Patriots team that is not good. They should not be good, and they played it close, losing 15-10 to the Dolphins. The Dolphins, obviously, without Tua, they are struggling to find production at the QB spot. I think you'll go see them try and make a move at the deadline. There are quarterbacks out there. I do. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Because they have the weapons, they have shown it. They just need to get the ball
Mm-hmm.
to their weapons.
Right.
And this Patriots team, after this loss coming next week, Drake May will be their starting quarterback. Another rookie quarterback coming in to start. How he will
Sure.
do, who knows? Heading into this next game, an AFC South matchup, the Colts and Jaguars. The Jaguars winning this game by 3. Trevor Lawrence looked good this game. This is the first game of the year. I believe he has looked good. Um, Obviously, both offenses played great with
Mm-hmm.
34 and 37. 71 points scored this game. That is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But as you look at the rest of these, that's the upper echelon, but that's about par. This is a great offensive week. Um, I do think Jaguars look good. I think this is a matchup you see at the Colts coming in later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
Both these games, I think, will be key in the division, whether it be for a wild card spot or for battling the Texans.
Yeah.
Leewaying into that, the Texans beat the Bills 23-20 in a very close game. I'm not sure Nico Collins' health after taking that blow to his hip. He did after the second quarter was out for the remainder of the
Yes.
game.
It was in that
Um,
touchdown pass
yes,
that he
and
caught from
he's been
Stroud.
he's been a key aspect of this offense. And I think
Mm-hmm.
if he can get back, I don't think you'll see a drop off. I think this offense will remain at a top tier. Now, another high scoring affair in the AFC North matchup, Ravens and Bengals. This
This
Ravens
game was a
team,
thriller, dude.
and it was an overtime. Justin Tucker, another clutch kick. I think this was, again, another high scoring game. It really fun to watch. Lamar
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, truthfully, I think he's putting on sort of an MVP campaign right now. I don't think
I
he's
agree.
had a bad game. He's played great. And
Mm-hmm.
this Derrick Henry Lamar Jackson combination has come into fruition of what we expected it to be this offseason.
Yeah. Leading on to that, I mean, this game was in both of these teams' hands. I mean, even going into overtime, right? The Ravens get the ball, start off with the ball. They drive to about the 50-yard line, right? There's a miscommunication. Lamar fumbles the snap. Bengals get it. Uh, they're on their opponent. They're on the Ravens 49, I believe. Um, the Ravens stop them, make them go 4 and out. McPherson misses the field goal. So Ravens get the ball back. Derrick Henry has a 60-something yard run, I believe, on
Mhm.
the first play of that drive to get them down in scoring position, and then from there it was just run it out and try to score a touchdown, and then they ended up kicking the field goal with Justin Tucker to seal that game. And for Justin Tucker, who's he's not had the year he has in the past, um, that was a pretty cool moment for him to be able to ice that one. But yeah, moving forward.
We have an AFC West divisional matchup between the Raiders and Broncos. The Broncos winning with a score of 34-18. I personally did not see this game. I know you have Bo Nix, Gardner Minshew, um, your quarterbacks. You didn't really have a great quarterback matchup there, but again, great offensive production. The defense is what struggled this game. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to say though, talking about the Raiders, Devontae Adams. Do you have any idea of where he goes? Because he has made it very clear he does not want to be in Las Vegas.
I could see really three possibilities. One of them being Baltimore, one of them being Kansas City, and the other one being Pittsburgh. I think that Pittsburgh offense is one where if you get one more piece for Justin Fields, that could be very dangerous um, in that AFC North spot, or sorry, AFC East. Um, and so, I think AFC East, or maybe I'm tripping. I don't know.
Steelers are in the AFC North.
AFC North. I was right the first time. That's right. I was thinking NFC North for some reason.
So
Yeah, AFC North.
yeah, I think that could be a dangerous piece.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, I agree with that. I could also see him going to Kansas City, pairing up with Mahomes, or even Baltimore. Pairing up with Lamar.
Both of
Either of
those would be
those would,
lethal.
yeah. With as great as a receiver he is, with both those quarterbacks, I mean, it would be
Now, do we
very
see
hard to
him
stop.
reunited with his best friend in Green Bay? Do we see him head down there to up there to New York, join his old friend Aaron Rodgers, see if they can get that
I
spark
think,
going and reunite this Jets offense, who has been really stagnant to start the year?
yeah, I think that's a very big possibility, just because the chemistry between Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. I mean, you saw in this last game. There was, I think Garrett Wilson had a choice route where he either could have ran vertical up the seam, or it was a post, I believe. Um, and Aaron Rodgers had thrown it, thinking that he was going to run a post, and Wilson had already broken and taken off vertical, and the chemistry between them it's just not there. It's almost non-existent, to be quite honest. I mean, you really haven't seen them two do much together so far. So Aaron Rodgers needs that weapon while he's still in good playing condition in New York. Um, he's getting older. He's 40 now. We're going to start seeing drop off. He's got to win now. Is that with the Jets? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends. But yeah, I think there's a few more games to cover.
Heading into another divisional matchup out west in the NFC this time, the Cardinals and Niners, with the Cardinals pulling this game out 24-23. I mean, another close game. And I think you're starting to see these division teams. You're going to have very tight division races this year.
Absolutely.
I think your AFC North, you just showed you had a 41-38 game with the Bengals
Right.
and Ravens. Your Browns, who have looked good but got embarrassed this weekend by the Commanders, and then your Steelers played great against the Cowboys. We'll get that. We'll get to that. Then your NFC East, your NFC West, your NFC North, your NFC South is a close race. There are so many divisions that are up for grabs that I don't see a clear favorite for.
Absolutely.
I think this just showed it. This NFC West, a very almost a banged up 49ers team. They were banged and bruised. Came out. The Cardinals took advantage and got their win.
Yeah.
And then going next, we have the Giants beating the Seahawks by a score 29-20. The Giants played well, played without one of their best weapons of the year, Malik Neighbors. He's been, I think, he's my rookie of the year right now. He's played fabulous.
I got Jaden Daniels.
I think Malik Neighbors has been not only one of the best rookie receivers, but one of the best receivers in the league as of this year.
You can make the same argument for Jaden Daniels, though, as far as, I mean, he is putting up MVP numbers right now as a rookie. And obviously we could talk about that more in the next episode. We may do a rookie of the year prediction segment, or MVP prediction. We'll see. But yeah,
I mean,
sorry. Keep
that's
going. Oh,
besides the
sorry, I
point.
interrupted.
He's played awesome. He's played awesome.
Yes.
Just great.
Yeah.
And they won this game without him. So that this offense, if specifically Daniel Jones can play like this with him on the field, I think you'll see a Giants team that could surprise some people, sneak up for a wild card spot they're not supposed to be in. Heading into the next game, another division, take the back, not a divisional game. This one is the Packers and Rams. This one was in LA. The Packers came out the win. Josh Jacobs flat out looked dominant in this game. From what I saw, he ran all over the Rams defense. Whenever he got the ball, it was smash mouth. He was going through you. It was really fun brand of football to watch. And Jordan Love, coming back from injury, played great.
Yeah, man,
This Rams team, they're missing some weapons, and it shows. They're having some young guys and some inexperienced guys trying to fill in some spots, and it just doesn't look right. Matthew Stafford just not getting with those guys, not showing the connection like he had with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And then the Sunday night game, the Cowboys and Steelers, that was a thriller of a game. Dak Prescott, the first quarterback to throw an interception on the same game in 2 different days, that was pretty impressive. I will say that this is a game the Steelers probably should have won. This Cowboys team has struggled so far. And I do think this is a Steelers team that, like I said, can compete in the AFC North.
Yeah.
I think if they can just play a complete game, they win this one.
Yeah, Dallas needs to have better standards for them. I mean, they beat this Pittsburgh team by 3. I mean, come on, guys. Look at the weapons. I mean, the
This
money
is a
you were
Dak
paying
Prescott
CD.
This is a Dak Prescott with too many weapons, too many chances around him to not produce. He has not produced for long enough when it has mattered. You got to think when is enough enough?
Right. That Steelers defense is they're good, but they're not, the Cowboys they got to get it together, man. I think the last matchup, this was
the Monday night game was the Chiefs and Saints. Just again, another game of Mahomes doesn't play great, but plays good enough for his team to win. And you got to think, how long can he play? He's not playing poor, but he's not winning games for his teams. He's just not losing them.
He still had 331 yards. The thing with him, with their struggle has been not being able to complete drives. They'll drive down, they'll get to opponent's side of the field, and then they'll give up a 4 and out and have to kick a field goal. I think with the Chiefs moving forward, yeah.
But he has struggled with touchdowns or turnovers this year.
I agree. Yep.
And let me double check.
Hey, Bob, if
this game, like he said, no touchdowns and a pick. He had no touchdowns and a pick. I will say, though, Kareem Hunt back on the Chiefs, he played great with 100 rushing yards and a touchdown.
He did. He played very good. He did.
I do think this is just a team, if you see Mahomes start getting the ball in the end zone a few more times, this is a Chiefs team that can be scary. Like it's not already scary. But he just needs to find a way to put these drives together. And he just needs – he is playing – for how his team's undefeated, he's not playing that well. The only 2 undefeated teams right now, the Vikings and Chiefs heading into Week 6, both sitting at 5-0.
Yep. Yeah, on a bye week this week was the Detroit Lions, Tennessee Titans, Philadelphia Eagles, and Los Angeles Chargers. But that will do it for our NFL Week 5 recap. Unless, Davis, do you have anything else to add?
I do not have anything for that recap.
All right. Moving forward, we have predictions for next week.
Do you want to go ahead and try and we'll do a speed round for this. We'll go ahead and try and get through this.
Yeah, we can get through this one pretty quick.
Thursday night football, who do you got? Niners or Seahawks? Interdivisional matchup. I think take the 49ers here.
The 49ers, as banged up as they are, and the Seahawks with Geno and DK Metcalf playing as good as they are, I think the line is set on 3.5 of this. 49ers, I think it's a toss-up game. I think the 49ers ultimately pull it out. Even being a little banged up, they still have great weapons.
Jaguars and Bears.
Jaguars
and Bears. I think Trevor Lawrence has had one good game. I don't think he repeats himself. This is Sunday morning. This is in London, a London football game. I think you see the Bears and Caleb Williams play good enough to win, and the Jaguars not play that well.
I agree with you on that one. I think Caleb Williams has a decent game. I think, I agree. I think Chicago plays just good enough to pull this one out.
Heading into the next one, Buccaneers and Saints.
I will go Buccaneers and Saints. Okay. Interdivisional matchup here. We got the news today that Derek Carr is out for 4 weeks, I believe it said.
Yes, so that is Spencer Rattler, who don't forget there were talks of him starting heading into the preseason and even
Right.
heading into the season. So is this a chance for him to earn a starting job?
I don't think so. I think they played Jake uh, Hayner last night after Derek Carr came out. Um, I think they wanted to get Spencer Rattler more prep time for this week. He hasn't officially been named the starter yet, but we could very likely see him out there. I think Derek Carr is.
Or do we see Taysom Hill out there this week?
That's another possibility. Taysom Hill, a veteran who's played, pretty much
He's done
everywhere.
this before, when a quarterback's gone down, he's been the guy to
Right.
sub in. He's not their quarterback, but he's that Mr. Everything. He can go where you need him to be.
If whoever starts doesn't play up to standard, if Jake Hayner starts, I believe that if he doesn't play, I think Spencer Rattler comes in. If Spencer Rattler starts and doesn't play up to standard, then I think you'll see Taysom Hill going at quarterback there. Um, I think that's just how it's going to go. But I see the
Uh,
Bucks pulling this one out. By
mm,
the way, yeah, just I
um,
see Baker's
I think the
playing
Bucks,
great.
yeah, I see the Bucks winning this one. Heading into the next one, a very fun matchup. Two very, I would say, MVP candidates, MVP frontrunners, if you would, going in this game at 1 o'clock at Raven Stadium. You have the Commanders and Ravens.
Hmm. This one, I see the Ravens pulling this one out. They're a more experienced team. They're more um, they are a more star-studded lineup, and in the NFL, I mean, anyone most of the time, pretty much anyone can go out and win. But I think with this team, that with that Lamar Jackson Derrick Henry combo, I don't think there's anyone in the Commanders' defense that's gonna be able to stop that. Now, Jaden Daniels just plays out of his mind. I think there is a chance that Washington outscores Baltimore, but realistically, I see Baltimore pulling this one out.
I think Baltimore's defense plays well enough to give their offense the shot. I think
Yeah,
Derrick Henry. I think the Commanders will have a tough time stopping him.
I agree.
Um, I think Derrick Henry will have another outstanding game.
Mhm.
And I think Ravens take this one. Following that one, you have another 1 o'clock window game. You have the Cardinals and Packers, both teams looking impressive out west last week. Um, I do think the Packers win this one for the same reason I said the Ravens win. I think Josh Jacobs will run the ball really well. I think he'll have a great game. Fantasy starters, if I were you, I'd start him this week. He has
Yep.
looked good the past couple weeks. I think he's due for a touchdown or two against these Cardinals. Then I think they'll have a tough time trying to figure out a way to stop him.
Enough said about that. I completely agree with you. There's no one on that
Um,
Cardinals defense that can stop that run game.
Next, I think you have Colts Titans. Yep, Colts
Yep.
Titans.
Yep.
I
At
don't think you
Nissan.
see at Nissan. I don't think you see the Titans win this game. I don't think you see them win many games as of the rest of this year. This is a
Mm-mm.
team that does not look very good.
Mm-hmm.
Uncertain at the quarterback position whether Will Levis is that person or not. He's had some very questionable turnovers to start the year. Um,
Very.
you don't um, you don't really have that guy on your team that you say I want to build around on the offense or defense. So this is really a year where they're trying to figure out who their guy is. And as for the
Right.
Colts, you have Anthony Richardson, young, very raw, but very, very gifted at the quarterback position. This is a guy you could see take over the league,
Is
or
he
this is a
back
guy
this week?
I believe so. This is a guy I think you'd see either take over the league or be out of the league in 3 years. Um, it's up to him to determine which one he wants to be, but this is a good matchup to get him going against a weak Titans team.
Have they confirmed they're starting Richardson?
I'm
Or is
not sure.
Flacco still going to start and then Richardson work in?
I think he's either going to go or not.
Okay.
Um,
All right. I think the last 1 o'clock game is that Houston at New England game. I think Houston wins, and it's not close. This Patriots team has been probably the worst um, NFL team this year. We could see Drake May come out and do crazy things, but CJ Stroud has too many weapons around him. Uh, that Patriots defense is not going to be able to hang with this Houston team. Are you muted? I
Like,
think, yeah.
there we go.
All right.
Alrighty. Yeah, Texans Patriots. I think Texans win this game. I think Drake May has a good showing. This is his opportunity to show this is his offense and get familiar with his offense.
Right.
I do think Texans take this one. Heading into Eagles and Browns 1:00 game. This will be a good game. I think you see the Browns rebound after playing a good Commanders offense. And the Eagles, they've played well all year. I don't know. This is at Philadelphia. I just think you see the Browns pull this one out.
I might take a different route here. It depends. The Eagles have been fraudulent. If Saquon can have a good game on the ground, then the Eagles pull this one out. If the Cleveland can stop Saquon, then the Cleveland wins this one. That's all I
Is
got
AJ
for this
Brown
one.
back this week? Do you know?
I think he's got another week or two,
Alrighty.
if I'm
Um,
correct. Yeah.
That was the last 1:00 game. Heading into the 4:00 games, you have the Chargers and Broncos. These are two AFC West teams that probably underperforming. The Broncos are about where we're expected to be, but the Chargers especially. Look for them to come out this week with J.K. Dobbins leading the ground attack. You know how Harbaugh wants to
I
be.
agree.
He's shown it. I think they're going to try and run the ball to him if they can get established against this Broncos team, who's missing key pieces all over the field with injuries. I think you'll see the Chargers come out and win this game. Again, Bo Nix, I don't think he plays bad, but he's not going to win a game for his team.
Yeah, I think the Chargers game is going to be a lot on the ground. Obviously, the Broncos secondary is not bad. I mean, obviously,
It's pretty good.
PS2 being a very the most notable on that defense. He's had a great season so far. I think he continues to do that, and if Los Angeles throws, I think this game will be closer. But as long as they keep it on the ground and J.K. Dobbins does what he's been doing, Chargers should pull this one out. No trouble.
Your next 4:00 game is the Steelers and Raiders. I think this is a game you see the Steelers win. I think this is a game Devontae Adams will get limited reps in, and Justin Fields and that offense takes advantage of a bad Raiders defense, and that Steelers defense continues to play phenomenal. And I don't think this is much of a game at all.
I think I agree with you. I think Justin Fields continues to do what he's been doing. I think Devonta Adams will get ready to be traded. He doesn't want to be there, and you get a guy that doesn't want to be somewhere. He's not going to play to his full potential. That's just the harsh reality of it. And Devonta Adams does not want to be in Las Vegas. That's the last place he wants to be. So,
Let's see. Heading into the next game, Falcons and Panthers. Now, I do want to say this last year. This is a game where the Panthers have split 2 out of the last 4.
Yep.
And this was the same team last year. I mean, it's a very similar team last year. Granted, this Falcons team is revamped. I think this is the one you could see Carolina upset. This has been an offense that has been either really stagnant or they have looked really stout. Often more stagnant than stout. But I think this is a game you see Andy Dalton play good, put his team in a spot to win, especially at Panther Stadium. I think this is a team you could see upset this week, win a game they shouldn't.
I'm going to take the Falcons on this one. I think that Kirk Cousins has been able to take this team to a level that they haven't been at since Matt Ryan. Granted, that hasn't been too far in the past, but if Kirk will use his weapons like he's been using them, I think that Atlanta goes in and wins this game by probably 10. I could see the Panthers possibly upsetting, but I think it'd be a last-minute kick a field goal to win the game if that were to be the case.
Next is the Lions and Cowboys. This is a heavyweight matchup here. The Lions coming off the bye week, a lot healthier. Heading to the Cowboys, heading to A&T. I think the Lions win this. I think they show why the Cowboys, why they beat them last year. I think the Lions are the better team, truthfully.
I agree with that. Hold on, give me just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. I agree. I think the Lions, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. These guys are dudes. They're going to continue to play like it. I think, like you said, they're going to show the Cowboys, the fraudulent Cowboys again. Yeah, I think this is going to reveal the best team in that NFC East division, which is the Washington Commanders. So, but moving on though, primetime.
The primetime game at night. 1 second, I'm sorry. This is the Bengals and Giants.
Yeah.
At the Giants. Malik Neighbors will be back this week. Both these teams coming off a great offensive showing for their own respective selves. I think the Giants come out. They win this game. The Bengals deflated off a loss to a division team like the Ravens and such a heartbreaker. And I think Malik Neighbors shows up against this defense. And this will be a fun one to watch with two LSU, great LSU receivers, and Malik Neighbors and Jamar Chase. It'll be a fun storyline for the game at least. But I do see the Giants winning this one.
I'm going to go the opposite way on this one. I'm going to take the Bengals, even though they are 1-4 to start the season. I think that the connection we saw between Burrow and Chase last week is the same connection you're going to get this week. I think Jamar Chase scores at least 2 touchdowns, and I think Joe Burrow throws for at least 4. I don't think there's anyone in that Giants secondary that's going to be able to hang with Jamar Chase. Now, if they double cover him, does Cincinnati have the other weapons to be able to get the ball in the end zone? We'll see. That's just my prediction so far. But I think the last game we have is Monday Night Football, which is
the Bills at Jets. Yeah. And I think the Bills come out and win this game just due to the fact that the Jets, this is their first week with an interim head coach. I think you'll see them struggle for a week or two, and then maybe they get the train back on the tracks. But at least for this week, I see the Bills winning this game.
I'm agree with you on that. Obviously Josh Allen played not bad last week. He got a little banged up towards the end of the game, and we saw little flashes from Keon Coleman. I expect him to have a good game this week. That kid is a baller and is going to continue to be a baller. The more touches that he continues to get over time, I think the more he's going to develop into one of the better receivers in the NFL. So, and then on bye weeks this week are Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Rams, Miami Dolphins, and Minnesota Vikings. So that'll do it for our NFL predictions. Are you ready to move on?
Ready to go? You ready to look at the recap for the postseason in baseball?
First, we have NHL opening day first.
So I'm sorry.
Go over those games.
Getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, you're all right. So opening day we had, which was today. We had 3 games today. One's still going on right now, actually. I can go ahead and get this one. The St. Louis Blues played against the Seattle Kraken. St. Louis ends up pulling this one out 3-2. Boston Bruins go to Florida Panthers. Florida pulls this one out. This was a very high-scoring one, 6-4. That was that game. And then the current game, the Chicago Blackhawks are currently facing off against the newest team in the NHL, the Utah Hockey Club. And Utah leads this one 3-2 with 4 minutes left in the third period. So those
it'll be fun to see how this new team does in Utah. Them winning right now, I'll be honest, I didn't see it coming. I thought it would take them some time, but this will be a fun year for NHL with a new team. I think it'll be a fun year, fun new year.
Yeah, expansion years are always fun. It doesn't matter what sport it is. I mean, um, with hockey fans being as passionate as they are, I think the race for the Stanley Cup will be very entertaining this year, and we'll cover that as much as we can on that. But I mean, that was obviously a short segment. There are only being 3 games. It was a good opening day though. Overall, very entertaining games. I was able to catch the end of the Blues and Kraken game, and then I watched most of the Bruins Panthers game. The Bruins Panthers game was really entertaining to watch. Those high scoring games are always entertaining where there's lots of goals like that, and people they're just flying up and down the ice. So, if you don't have anything else, we can move on. All right.
Move on.
So moving on to baseball now. We got our postseason recap so far.
As of now, we are through game 3 in the NL divisional and game 2 in the AL divisional. I do think so. The Mets, they have looked flat out dominant. Truthfully, they have won. They have won dominantly. Yeah, it really hasn't been close.
Yeah.
This is a Mets team who it took them the last day of the year to get in this postseason, and they're coming out on fire, looking to play. And the team they played, the Braves, they got swept by the Padres, a Padres team who is up 2-1 on the league leading with the best record in the league, the Dodgers, who made it close tonight with a score of 6-5. And the other game they won, they dominated.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, going back to the Mets, their last 2 wins against the Phillies, they won at Philadelphia 6-2, and then they won tonight their place 7-2. Both of their wins have been very dominant, like you were talking about. And I've been very impressed with this Mets team in this postseason. They did the same thing to the Brewers. Their wins were dominant. I mean, you really can't say much else about them. They're playing really good baseball at the most important time of the year right now.
Yep, and the Padres, they've even their loss was close. This is a team that you could see. I see them moving on to the next round. I truthfully see this being Padres and Mets.
I could see it.
Now, looking over at the AL, where both series are split 1-1. This is a very even-killed divisional series right now. And one thing I'd like to put out the Tigers is their interesting approach to the postseason. They have one true starter on their roster, which is Tariq Skubal, who was pitched great. He had the AL Triple Crown for pitching this year, just flat out been, and even in the postseason has looked great. Now Detroit doesn't even know their starter for tomorrow. And like I said, they're split 1-1 with the Guardians, and this is an interesting matchup because the Guardians and Tigers, if I'm not mistaken, are like 2.5 hours away, 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
These teams are very close. So I think you'll see both these teams travel well. I think it'll be interesting to see how these teams travel and how much home impact there really is in a series like this where they're so close.
Detroit already took one at Cleveland, so if we're talking about home field advantage, Detroit's got the upper hand right now. They won their wild card against the Astros, obviously, and then the second AL matchup was Royals-Yankees. The Royals swept the Orioles in their wild card matchup. Like you said, Davis, this matchup is split 1-1. I believe the next game is at Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's in Kansas City.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. This is a game I expect. This was Seth Lugo and Schmidt on the mound. Clay Schmidt.
Yes, that's correct.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
No, Clark Schmidt. Sorry. I think this is a team. I've been a fan of the Royals. They've had a fun pitching staff with Cole Ragans, Seth Lugo. It has been a very fun team to watch this year.
Absolutely.
Bobby Witt's played great in the postseason. I think this team, at the end of the day, takes this series from the Yankees. This pitching staff, I think, is good enough to minimize the damage from the Yankees' heavy hitters, the Bronx Bombers. And I think they can mow through the bottom half of this lineup. And I think they can make deep outings and get them far in this postseason.
Yeah, curious to see how the Royals relief pitching does. They currently have 5 relief pitchers on the IL. Some notable being Will Smith and Josh Taylor. Will Smith is out for 15 days. Josh Taylor 60 days, so he'll be out the rest of the season. Will Smith possibly being able to make a comeback depending on how far these Royals get.
I don't want to
How do you see coming out of this?
point out the obvious here, but out of this series, I do see the Royals. But do we think Will Smith wins a third? Is it a third or fourth straight World Series now on this Royals team?
It'd be
he
fourth
won
because he was on Atlanta.
starting with the Braves, in 21.
Houston.
With the Houston in 22, and the Rangers last year.
Yep.
It's just wherever this guy go, he seems to find a way to be on a winning team. But this is a Royals team primed for the World Series. I believe right now in a weaker American League, at least at the back half of this year. I think they have a good chance to not only make the World Series, but to compete and win it.
Yeah, both of these teams can hit. Both of these teams can pitch. This is really good. If the Dodgers and Padres matchup wasn't, and the Mets and Phillies weren't getting, those games weren't as good as they were, this would be the series. But those NL games have just been so fun to watch.
Speaking of those NL games, those play tomorrow. The Mets and Phillies at 5, the Dodgers and Padres at 9, then Cleveland and Detroit at 3, and the Yankees and Kansas City at 7. I think
those are on Wednesday.
My predictions for tomorrow. You want to go ahead and get into predictions?
Yeah, we'll start Cleveland at Detroit.
Cleveland at Detroit. I think Detroit takes this one. I think they find a way to manufacture some runs. They've seen Cleveland pitching some now, and now they're back
Alex
at
Cobb pitching tomorrow.
For the Guardians.
Yep.
Yes, and Detroit hasn't announced their starter. Let's see. I think the Phillies take this. I think they tie it up, force a game 5. This Phillies offense is just too potent not to put up a fight.
And with Suarez pitching tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they take the lead 2-1.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, no, it'd be tied.
It'd be tied. It would be split. Correct.
Yeah. Mets won tonight.
And then I think the Royals win tomorrow with Lugo on the mound. He's pitched great all year. I think they go up 2-1. I think the Padres win it tomorrow. I don't think they need a game 5. I think this is the Padres team who has looked good, and they take the game.
Yeah, I think Dylan Cease is going to have a real good game. I think he goes for at least 6 innings.
And the Dodgers haven't announced their starter yet.
Yeah,
so. That's
correct. All right, I think now we just have one more segment, and that's
in the ALCS. I personally see the Tigers and Royals making it.
Yeah, predictions.
And then and the NL side.
Is that who you have? Is that who you have making it, or that's who you want to see?
Yes, that's what I'm making it. And the Tigers and Royals, and then on the NL, I have the Padres and Mets. I think the Padres come out of the NL, they get the NL pennant, and I think the Royals get the AL pennant, and I think you'll see a really fun matchup in the World Series this year with the 2 red-hot teams, both teams on fire, and both teams fun to watch right now. This will be one of the more entertaining World Series we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I have the exact same predictions as you, actually. I have Tigers and Royals coming out of the AL for that ALCS, and I have the Padres and Mets for the NLCS, and I have the Padres and Royals coming out for the World Series. And I agree with you. I think the Padres win. I do think it goes the games. I do think it goes all 7 games, though. Maybe at the least game 6. Just depending on how this Royal staff pitches later in the series, as it is the longest series in the postseason. We'll just see. But I think I got the Padres winning this one. What they've been able to do against this Los Angeles team has been very impressive to watch. And if they continue to do that for the whole postseason, there's no one that can stop them, both offensively and defensively.
I do want to say something I saw earlier. The Padres have actually been so hot as of late, heading into today. So before they won today, they were actually the favorite for the World Series among bettors. Yeah. Among all the books, they were the favorite. So, and I think that just is a testament to how red hot they have been as of late.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Pitching's been great. Hitting's been great. Tatis has been on absolute fire this postseason. I'd be curious, how many home runs does he have in the postseason? Can we get that stat
I
pulled up
wa
real
if
quick?
I wanna say 4 if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I thought. Um, I mean, Tatis is just, yeah, he's, I mean, been just great this postseason. And, it's hard to pitch around a guy like that.
Especially
Um,
with Machado following him. This
right,
is just a very dangerous team.
right, right,
Yeah, this
right. Jerson
postseason,
Profar,
he's batting .556. He has an
yeah,
OPS of 1,900, 7 RBIs, and 4 home runs.
yeah. I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. Pretty sure he has an 100% fielding rate too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's playing. He's playing. Like I said earlier, playing the best baseball, playing his best baseball at the time that it matters most. So,
Um,
yeah,
and that I believe that covers everything we wanted to
yeah,
talk about.
yeah.
Um, if you guys had any suggestions of what you wanted us to talk about or anything you'd like us to talk about, we'll be running polls throughout the week on our Instagram account. That will be
Absolutely.
tagged below.
Yep.
Feel free to leave a comment, like, share it. Appreciate you guys listening. You guys have a great night.
Yeah. Real quick, but depending on, um, you know, we 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 might be live next week on Monday. We want to do live every Monday and Thursday, just to be able to interact with some of you guys, get your takes on some things. We decided to release this one as a premiere, just to see um, kind of what the viewership is like, what the chat's like. So we're gonna do that, and if y'all can get us good views on it, and what do you think, Davis? What can be a goal for them to have for us to go live next week?
We'll see what the bar is. We'll see where we're
Yeah,
at. Me and Braden will talk about it, and then we'll run a poll on our Instagram account, which again will be tagged below.
yeah,
We'll run a poll, and we'll see what you guys say.
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for episode 1. Uh, I I think we covered pretty much everything we needed to. So, um, yeah, like Davis said, we're recording this. Y'all give us some love here because we're recording this Wednesday night or Wednesday morning. Technically, actually, it's 1 in the morning. We have school in 6 hours, so just help us out a little bit on this one. But yeah, y'all have a great weekend. I guess since we'll be seeing this on Thursday afternoon, probably. Uh, so yeah, y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.